For the first time, President Trump is acknowledging his triple-digit tariffs on China could cause shortages of consumer goods and higher prices.
Hello guys, we hope you like that bit of Mozart. Following the US empire's defeats against the Taliban, then the Russians, then the Houthi, and then the Islamic Republic of Iran, what we have been witnessing is the slow fall of the empire. This phenomenon creates great opportunities, but also great dangers. With the US drowning in defeats, trillion-dollar debts and poor governance, we wanted to show how the broader empire is doing. The UK, the founding member of the Five Eyes, is in an even worse state. The incompetent regimes that have held power have lived off the solid foundations that were laid following World War II. Britain has been the most willing vassal and eagerly joined every war and sanctions package that Washington has embarked on. This has led to a situation where the UK, which is supposed to be a trading nation, has been left isolated from the rest of the sanctioned world. Again, with years of poor governance, they now find themselves with exploding debt, no clue and no idea, no colonies, no natural resources and no means of becoming an independent sovereign state. The UK is doomed to further decline. At the Empire Report, we feel this decline will accelerate the longer it takes for the UK to radically change and wake up to the fact that the sanctioned world is far younger, far smarter, far richer and far more understanding of the new reality. With the UK totally abandoning diplomacy on the world stage and opting for neoliberal grandstanding and moralizing, there seems to be no way for the UK to improve its international image, and so countries that are not sanctioned and have money to invest look straight past the UK. The current regime in the UK thinks by propagandizing their population to want to join the British Army and fight imperial wars for the rules-based order is the way forward. But we think this is another mistaken policy that will backfire and ultimately hurt the British people further. Across the English Channel we find another vassal state in France. If you ever want an example of rapid decline, then this is where it's at. A country with a proud history has been reduced to an impotent shell of itself. Under the misleadership of little Napoleon Macron, the French Empire has collapsed like a house of cards. don't think we have seen such a collapse and loss of strategic colonies in a time frame as short as this. The loss of the once virtually free natural resources that buffered the French economy are a thing of the past, and this is starting to have a very negative impact. France no longer has the military or political might to stop the decolonization, and Napoleon Macron is being exposed as an emperor with no clothes. Under the misleadership of little Napoleon Macron, France has yielded its sovereignty to two masters. The one in Brussels and the other in Washington. By submitting your country to complete vassal status, you have very little control over how the economy performs. And like the other vassal states, you are hostage to Washington's sanctions policy. The thing that ties the vassals to central command is that very sanctions policy. The policy ensures that the vassal states can only trade with nations approved in Washington. And of course, what we have seen in recent months is Washington's plan to squeeze the EU vassals and punish them. Just like in the UK and the US, Napoleon Macron is prioritizing military spending and warmongering over the needs of his people and has abandoned all pretense of good governance. Given the constraints he has put his nation in, there are very little options left for him apart from cancelling bank holidays and raising retirement age. Despite the protest from the people and clear opposition in the parliament, somehow, someway, Macron must find funding for his militaristic warmongering plans. The desperation in France is so bad that you can literally smell it. The French people are so downtrodden and pissed off, the slightest thing can spark mass protest and riots. France, Britain, and many other vassal states are becoming ungovernable for the ruling elites. In these fake democracies, the establishments need the votes of the people to provide legitimacy to their rule, even though they hate their people, and the people hate them equally as much. The contradiction could not be more stark. The title of this report is The Slow Fall of the Empire. But in the case of France and little Napoleon Macron, we could have called it the quick slip of the French. At the Empire Report, our take is that mainly due to imperial hubris, outright incompetence mixed with fanatical neoliberalism, has led to the slow fall of the empire. There is an old saying, when politicians run out of ideas, the only option they have left is to go to war. We should have a think about that. This was Sonia Knows Nothing from a hidden location for the Empire Report.